All right, we're off to the races here. Welcome to a series of special Sales Pipeline Radio editions live from Forrester B2B Summit. You can probably hear in the background, the conference has definitely kicked off. Lots of people here. We are downtown Phoenix, Arizona, and our first guests today on Sales Pipeline Radio, very excited to have Nora and Leslie from Conga here. They are ROI award winners. Going to be on the main stage here in a little bit. We'll just have them each introduce themselves real quick. We got a great set of insights I want to share with you around what they're doing on the customer experience side. But Nora, why don't you start?
Yes, thank you so much for having us, Matt. My name's Nora. I am the Director of Digital Success at Conga. So running the digital motion of the Customer Success Org. And I am so thrilled to be partnered with Leslie.
Hi, my name's Leslie Smith. I am the Customer Success Manager Operations. So I do the technology side with Nora, helping her build out her amazing digital success that she won her award for.
I am thrilled to have this as our first recording here at the show because I think so much of what's talked about here historically has been on the net new side. We talk about sales, we talk about demand gen, we talk about customer acquisition. There isn't nearly enough of a conversation around how to better manage the customer relationships. And as our companies get bigger and more mature, like you would think that's where the majority of the focus needs to be on not only keeping but expanding that book of business. Is this a newer focus for Conga? Talk about sort of the evolution of that balance and focus on customer experience.
Yeah, that's a really interesting frame of mind because I think everyone can pull a million adages out of their pocket about how critical it is to keep the customers you get for cost savings, for growth, etc. I think Conga has always had customer retention as top of mind, but I think if you talk to anyone in the industry right now, it does seem that retention is becoming more and more critical because it's harder and harder to retain.
Right.
And so I think right now with Conga's mission of growth and retention, they are recognizing the impact that our programs are making. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's where we are getting a bit more attention now.
So I'm excited to dig into this. And Leslie, I want to get into the data side of this because you can't do this without a great data architecture and making sure the data is clean. And you would think it'd be easier for your customers, right? Because you have a relationship with them. But as you know, it's definitely not. Let's talk about that. What's the backbone need to make this work? Like if you don't have the data clean, it doesn't work, right?
That's absolutely true. We need to make sure that we are talking to the right customer at the right time. So being able to identify those customers in their customer journey, finding where they are, learning about their usage. Are they in the user groups? Are they logging into the community? Are they engaging with other groups outside of customer success, taking all that information together and then crafting a message that will help engage them with our team?
What are some of the tools that are key to making that happen? Are they tools? Are they integrations? Are they just best practices and habits internally?
Ooh, great question. We currently use Gainsight for the majority of our outreaches, but with that, we drive our customers to our community to make sure that they have right in front of them the best data and information that they can get from our team. It really allows them to learn about our products, ask for help when they need to, engage with our trials, be able to open up support tickets. It's kind of a one-stop shop that we want them to get familiar with and use all the time.
So talking today with the 2025 B2B ROI integration winners from Conga, we've got Nora and Leslie. Nora, when you talk about this program internally and talk about the impact it's having, what's on the dashboard? Like what's on the reporting side that shows the impact that these programs are having?
I love that. Well, first and foremost, it really started with a slogan, believe it or not, because to get internal buy-in and advocacy, everyone needs to understand it as well as you do. So we championed a rallying cry. It was all roads lead to community, and that stated our intention. And then in regard to the ROI, what KPIs, what North Star metrics were we monitoring? Leslie noted we're talking about logging into community and engaging with community, and then understanding how that ties up to the organizational KPIs. And we've been able to demonstrate that accounts with engaged community users expand more. They retain more. They have higher NPS. So across the board, once they're tapped into our ecosystem, they're healthier accounts.
Okay, so this is a fantastic discussion because you're talking about so much unique critical data beyond just like who's logging in, when's the last time they logged in, what features are they using. Because if you wait until the end of this process and then try to get them to renew, you may have already lost someone. So what I'm interested in, we talk a lot about signals and intent signals on the buy side. What are some examples of signals that you're looking for that demonstrate someone is a great customer, someone's more likely to expand or renew, or maybe someone is not quite at the point of needing to be saved, but the fact that someone might need to proactively go and engage them to make sure they're successful? Leslie, that's a good question, I think, for you.
Yeah, so we do try to make sure for advocates, we want to see those folks that are joining the user groups. Are they interested in the products that we sell? Are they stepping up to the plate and being the host of those user groups, whether it be in person or virtual? So we try to engage with them as much as possible to keep them interested and willing to be our advocates. But on the other side, of course, there's risk in any business. So we do look at those indicators and reach out when we see things that may not be going their way. They may not realize it. And we want to give them that heads up. Hey, we see that you're having maybe some issues with maybe usage or where you're not using your services as much as you probably should. Here's some great statistics. Here's some insights into how you can better use those services that are available to you.
And when you say we, in terms of reaching out and engaging with them, I'm sure that's not just marketing. Nora, how do you partner with the CS team and the account management team to really activate some of these programs?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question too. So technically our group is part of customer success, but we also ensure that we are aligned in our messaging and timing with the rest of the global marketing group. So one easy thing we did is we coordinate all of our planned sends in the larger global marketing calendar. So we make sure that a customer isn't hearing sporadically and disparately from every unique group at Conga. They're hearing from Conga, and it's an orchestrated, intentional experience.
And Leslie, from an ops standpoint, what are some of the keys for you to be able to integrate your data with the other sort of go-to-market ops teams? I think, because you talk a lot about marketing operations and sales ops and increasingly a little bit of rev ops. What does that integration look like to be successful?
So we all consistently use the same types of data sets. We want to make sure that we're reaching the right folks. So we consistently have us talking with each other, whether it be about the context that we're using, the account information on the account page, just to make sure everyone is aligned and we are using the right information.
Yeah, I think it's critical, right? And I think the more you can integrate those stories together, how much do you spend time when you do an onboarding with a client? How important is it to pull in sort of data and experiences from the buy side to create a seamless experience for onboarding and new customer success?
We're both smirking, which your listeners cannot see, because we ran an entire quarterly onboarding winning move where we did a massive audit of every single touch point that a net new logo customer experienced. And we uncovered the double-digit number of systems that those touch points were coming out of and the multiple different names or aliases that customer was engaging with. And we streamlined much of that. We have visions and plans for additional enhancements, but that is top of mind.
Yeah. Well, you can always get better at this, but I think where you guys are already, I mean, there's certainly a higher level of investment and commitment that I can already hear from this conversation from Conga. Shout out to Andrew Bennett, CMO at Conga, who are all, everybody smiles a little brighter when they hear that name. So Andrew, you got a great team here. There's a lot of companies here that I talk to all the time that want to make this kind of investment. They see the kind of impact that a greater investment in customer success at the marketing and the operational level cross-department can have. If you could sit down with them for a couple minutes and just say, like, here's the roadmap you should put together, here's how to talk to your leadership team, your board, what should they be talking about internally?
That's a really good question. And I think we've swung and missed a few times in attempting to achieve that. I think what's helped us is starting with a question instead of a statement and understanding what their top focus is. Because it does change quarter to quarter, fiscal year to fiscal year. And then aligning our impact to their focus and ensuring they understand that we can pull a bunch of different levers. We have a demonstrated impact on adoption, on NPS, on expansion, on retention, etc. we probably won't be as significantly impactful if we try to do everything all at once.
Right.
So it's focus and alignment.
Yep. Leslie?
I would agree. Absolutely. It's the focus and alignment. We need to make sure that we are telling the same story, making sure it's a consistent motion, because we don't want to step on each other's toes. That's not the intent. We want to make sure that story that we're telling, that use case that we're sharing, does really show the value of the Conga products and where we might be able to take that customer.
So we got a few more minutes here on this first special Forrester B2B Summit edition of Sales Pipeline Radio with Nori O'Leary, Roseberry, and Leslie Smith from Conga. Very excited to have you guys here. Let's double click on one of the programs that I know you guys are both excited about and proud of, and that's the community. Talk about where that started and who do you focus on and why is that working so well?
Well, where did we start? We started... Conga merged with Apttus. So anyone who's worked at an organization and understands mergers and groups coming together can probably understand that when it came together, there was a bit of friction. And in many cases, many people were coming just to submit a support case and leaving. So our challenge was, and our charter was, make it more than a support portal. And over time, we've made it a true, rich value destination. And we have the metrics to prove it. Increased time spent in community and increased number of logins.
Yep. Has it been difficult to, and I don't know, what platform do you guys use for your community?
Salesforce Experience Cloud.
Okay. Has it been a challenge to integrate that with the rest of your data? I mean, Gainsight's a great platform, but how do you make sure that data all speaks to each other?
Since the community sits on top of Salesforce, it's been relatively easy, I would say, to make sure that the data was available when we needed it. We have built out multiple integrations allowing customers to change their contact information. They get to see who their super users are. They get to know what their billing address is. So they have different avenues of seeing that info and being able to make changes right on their screen. So it makes it very easy to do the integrations because of it sitting in Salesforce.
Nice. Just a few more minutes, guys. I want to let you go now. This is a busy conference. You got a lot going on. What's on your wish list for customer marketing? What are the things that you, and if Andrew's listening, which I hope that he is, what are the things that you want to be able to do next in the next 12 plus months?
I want to expand the impact we've been able to make tenfold. I want us to be more efficient and agile in our ability to implement the changes we feel will be impactful. Right now, there is a bit of a reliance on our IT team to execute some of our larger wishes. So it all comes down to capacity and priority. But we've made an impact, and I want us to be able to almost scale our impact, which is a little bit ironic since our initial challenge was to scale the organization, and now I want to scale our impact.
Yeah. Leslie?
I want to be able to get more data, be more insightful, be more directed in our message, be able to get into the industries, the segments, being able to give the right message to the right customer to show them the value of the use case that we're putting in front of them, being very direct, as well as usage data. Usage data is a huge thing that we use and consume, and we just need more of it. How are the customers using our products? How can we show them even more value by explaining, like, you've hit this threshold, let's talk about either more licenses or maybe a +1 product. So we would be able to use that with the usage data.
God, that'd be great. I keep thinking about these companies that are over investing or just over rotating maybe on customer acquisition and aren't putting enough effort into the customer success side. And maybe the tip of the spear for them is to think about this as activating evangelists. Like, what could we do on the customer success side to not only help them be more successful, but how much of your effort is actually also identifying, engaging, activating real champions of Conga within the customer community that can become sort of natural referral sources into the net new pipeline as well.
You've heard us mention user groups quite a bit.
Yeah.
And that's an ecosystem that we created kind of with that if we build it, they will come mentality, because organically customers are usually ones creating those. Those user groups have become incredibly critical, especially to our customer marketing advocacy team.
Yep.
And it's really interesting. Very often at our conferences, the user groups are driving a huge number of the registrations. The user groups are often where they find the speakers. The advocacy program can rely and leverage the user groups because that really is where we bring in the most engaged customers, and that we have this ecosystem and channel for directly talking to them and already having found them.
Yeah, awesome. Nora, Leslie, this has been great. Thank you so much for being willing to do this, being our first guest host. I think the technology is working, right? Like, you can hear me, I can hear you.
Yes.
I think it's being recorded, so I think it's all good. You never know when you get out in the field, right? Like, I trust my in-office setup, but it seems working out. Shout out to Nick at Forrester, and really Amanda and team at the PR team for making this happen. But thank you both for being here. Congratulations again on the ROI Award win. I look forward to seeing you guys on stage, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you so
Matt.
much.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.